Hello, everyone. I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'm going to be breaking down our next matchup for UFC Fight Night 263. In this one, we have Ketlen Vieira taking on Norma Dumont. Vieira is 15-4 as a professional, 3-4 in her last 5 fights. Meanwhile, Dumont is 12-2 as a professional, 5-0 in her last 5 fights, and is currently riding a 5-fight win streak. For Vieira, currently has been trading wins and losses as of recent. Where she won a split decision over Holly Holmes, then conversely lost a split decision to Raquel Pennington, but then won a clear unanimous decision over Penny Kianzai, then lost a clear decision to Kayla Harrison at UFC 307. So, her last loss is literally to the champion, so no shame in that. In her most recent fight this May, she defeated Macy Chasson via unanimous decision. Meanwhile, for Dumont, as I said, currently riding a 5-fight win streak. All these are unanimous decisions, by the way, of Deliana Wolf, I think is how you pronounce it, Carlo Rosa, Chelsea Chandler, Jeraine Durandamine, and then most recently at UFC 306, Irene Aldana. So for Dumont, this is going to be I would say if she gets a win here, this is definitely the biggest win of her career, because Ketlen Vieira oftentimes is that test to get to the title shot. As you can see, my kitty would agree with me. As I said, though, like I said, if Norma Dumont wins, that would be 6 in a row, and I would argue she should get the title shot after. We'll see if Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes fights, but if we don't get that fight, then I'd say Norma Dumont if she wins this Saturday. Looking at both for their overall skill, I'd say this is more or less two well-rounded fighters in the women's bantamweight division. I would argue Dumont is slightly more well-rounded than Vieira. Vieira, a lot of her striking is more so to getting close and get into the clinch. From there, the whole fight will dictate how the clinch goes, because that's really where Vieira's strength lies. As if she's able to dominate the clinch, she often wins in her fights 9 out of 10 times. But if she's not able to bully her opponents in the clinch and actually deals with some adversity, then it becomes a little dicey for her and she might lose. As you can see in her last 2 losses, right? Raquel Pennington, a scrappy veteran, knows what she's doing and is very tough to get out of there. And, Rocky, he is kind of, she has no quitter, so it doesn't matter how much bigger Vieira was or stronger, Pennington was just going to keep fighting. And that's exactly how she won the split decision. Now, I did think Vieira won the fight, but, the judges saw it differently. And then you look at Kayla Harrison, who is, the strongest woman in the weight class and was not going to get bullied by Vieira in the clinch. No way, no how. Out-grappled Vieira as well. Now, that being said, when Vieira can dominate in the clinch, and especially when she gets to top position, that's where she can become a threat. It's mostly her control is where her main strength lies. As once she gets to top pressure, she is a nightmare on there. It's kind of like having it'd be like having a boulder on top of you. Is the best way I can put it for Ketlen Vieira. As most other fighters are not able to out scramble her and get off of her. Get her off of them. You saw like Chasson, who, granted, I know is now on a 2-fight skid, but Chasson has a tricky ground game and is a pretty competent grappler. And once Vieira was able to get the takedowns and top pressure, Chasson was not able to get her off her. Now, I also understand that Vieira was literally the weight class above, so there's some asterisks to that. And I'll talk about that more in a bit. But still, Ketlen Vieira overall, her striking is, again, okay. She has some good striking overall, I would say, some good power. But it's more so, like I said, to close the distance and get in the clinch. Once we see Dumont and Vieira in the clinch, I think that will really kind of determine who's going to win the fight. Now, as for Norma Dumont, honestly, I would think all things considered, she has been looking better and better with each fight. Overall, her striking has improved greatly. Her wrestling and grappling have improved greatly. It's kind of crazy to think that Megan Anderson knocked her out, 5 years ago. But, fighters get better as time goes on. And, we clearly see that with Dumont. Now, granted, it's not the most exciting. Her style. Now, granted, Dumont's style is not the most exciting, except for Irene Aldana when she cut her face and it looked like she brought a hacksaw to that fight. Boy, all that blood was crazy. But normally speaking, Norma Dumont, like I said, not the most exciting, but she does exactly what she needs to do for win. To win. Like against Jorane Durandamine, who is a very good striker, not the best defensive wrestler nor defensive grappler. Norma Dumont just got a takedown in every single round and kept top pressure for the entirety of that fight. And similar with Chelsea Chandler and Carlo Rosa, Dumont mostly just was able to get the takedown in, get her hands on them, and then once she did get top pressure, she kind of just parked the car on them. Not really trying to transition too much, but was doing enough to keep busy. Some busy ground and pound, some elbows, that kind of stuff, enough so that the ref would not separate them. Unlike what Jailton Almeida did. And yeah, I'm still going to throw shade at him for a little bit. But Norma Dumont does have some striking to her as well. I wouldn't say it's the most refined, but she at least has some fundamentals down. She keeps her hands up pretty well, keeps an active guard, has overall, I'd say, pretty good boxing. Now, I still think there are some better strikers in the weight class compared to her, but her ability to, just blend it all at a high level and being able to pick one set of skills to win a matchup that she knows she's going to be better at than you is kind of what she uses to win. Like, for example, Jorane Durandamine, as I said, we're going to be the better striker than her, not the better grappler. And that's what Dumont did to win. Now, for Irene Aldana, she used mostly her distance striking. She actually didn't really go for any takedowns in that fight, but fought a very smart, patient fight and just won via distance striking. And then with Chelsea Chandler, it was mostly just aggression, both striking and grappling. I mean, she literally had Chelsea Chandler turn her back and just start running away. So, I'll say this. Dumont, through this streak, has had some pretty good moments overall. Now, as I mentioned before, there is something of concern to me. It is going to be the weight. Now, both these ladies have competed at featherweight before. In fact, that's what Dumont actually debuted in the featherweight division. But since women's featherweight no longer exists in the UFC, they both are forced to cut down to bantamweight. And for Ketlen Vieira, last fight, she wasn't able to make the weight, and she had formed the UFC beforehand, so she essentially got the fight at featherweight. While Chasson was, forced to cut to, I believe 137 pounds, and then, rehydrate, while Vieira basically didn't cut any weight. I'm a little concerned something like that might happen again, and Dumont will have to walk into the fight with at a disadvantage. But if both make the weight, if both are able to cut the weight safely and able to do it, at the bantamweight limit or that 1 pound allowance for a non-championship fight, I think this is Norma Dumont's fight to win. Looking at their overall physical specs, Ketlen Vieira is going to be bigger at 5'8" with a 68-inch reach. But, she's only going to be, literally she's taller and has the longer reach by literally an inch. Dumont is 5'7" with a 67-inch reach. So, like I said, not that big in comparison. But again, it really comes down to who's going to win the battle in the clinch. Because while both of them have really good top position grappling, their bottom game is not as good as, for example, when Vieira fought Rosa, there were times when Rosa was able to scramble and get to a top position. And Vieira kind of looked lost from there and wasn't as active and not really scrambling to get up. Same with Dumont, but I would say Dumont is overall a little better with her scrambling abilities and the ability to get up. But I don't think those skills that she has improved upon will help her against Ketlen Vieira in this matchup. So it really just comes down to who's going to be stronger in the clinch and who has the overall better technique. And for my money, I got to go with Norma Dumont. I think overall she's going to be the more well-rounded fighter. I think her striking is better than Ketlen Vieira. And while Vieira might be physically stronger than Dumont in the clinch, and, admittedly, both these ladies have fought at featherweight before, I would say Dumont has the overall better clinch defense. And what I mean is she's not going to be able to get tripped in the clinch as easy as, say, Chasson or Kianzai or, one of those two as a recent example. Or like Holly Holmes, who, granted, Holly Holmes defended a lot of the takedowns and didn't get taken down super easily. But you get my point. I think Norma Dumont overall has good clinch defense and will not be easy to get swept or tripped or thrown as some of Vieira's other opponents. Plus, like I said, I think her striking is going to be better than Vieira, and I think her grappling has improved enough that where she's not going to get dominated on the ground, and I do think she's actually going to be able to get top position in this fight, as I think Dumont can blend her striking and grappling a little more seamlessly than Vieira. So for my official prediction, I'm going to go with Norma Dumont, and I'm officially going to pick her via unanimous decision. I mean, decision is pretty obvious in this fight. Both these two are not really finishers, especially like Dumont, who has not won a fight via finish in, I don't think, ever in the UFC. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments, because I can't remember a single fight that Norma Dumont has actually won via finish, at least not off the top of my head. So, once again, my official prediction, I'm going to go with Norma Dumont, and I'm going to pick her via unanimous decision. With that being said, that's been my breakdown of this fight. If you liked the video, comment and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Do you think Dumont deserves a title shot with this win, or do you think if Ketlen Vieira wins, she would need to win one more to get a title shot? But with that being said, once again, this has been my breakdown of the video. Next up, we will have Dante Johnson versus Cedricus Dumas. But until then, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. Thank you all for listening. Take care.